Welcome back to Diagonal Move. Activation round 4 of Crowbar Rangers at Pointe Du Hoc. The focus of the game has very much moved away from that initial rush up to the beach and much more onto the land and the exploration of the land to find those German artillery guns. It's been a challenge so far. I think a challenge is probably fair. We're on the final couple of nighttime portions of the 6th of June 1944, and a couple more time increments, and we'll be into June the 7th, with all the implications that has on victory points and the potential for low ammo and other things. The relief column is now fully onto its second half of the track where you track its progress, meaning that there's only really, in theory, a few more relief column advances to go before we get into the game. And we have got almost exactly 0 points at the moment, which is quite frustrating. Basically what's happened is took ages to get off the beach, to get to the beach in some cases, and we still have some of the guys in easy company sat on the beach under fire from the defences over on the what is on the screen, the top of the map, but it's actually the right hand side of the map when you play it as it orientated as it should be. I can't fit on my table, which is why it's like this. Fox Company down here, very much on the land, making progress. Unfortunately for them, the guns they're trying to find are all over here, and there's far fewer of them in this third of the map than there is anywhere else. Dog Company in the middle, they've taken a pasting, and two of the units have been eliminated completely, and others are stuck in this region here, surrounded by Germans at the moment. So it's been a little bit of a challenge. Let's start, and I think the simplest thing for us to do is to start over here. I want to try and get the easy company off the beach and try and find some of those guns. I also would like to try and fill those gaps if possible where the eliminated Dog Company units were, but now there's an empty column because that's where some of the guns are, just here. Fox Company, I want to get them up and through that minefield, which is sort of this bit here, before we pull an event chip which causes the minefield to activate. But let's see how it's going, because ultimately, of course, the aim is to find as many guns as we can and form roadblocks, and we're miles away from the road at the moment. And I've got a suspicion we're probably going to see this activation, maybe one more, before time, not time won't run out, but the relief column could well get to its final space. Anywho, enough chat. Let's start with the unit up the top there. We have the company commander, which should have been returned to its normal side at the end of the activation, and off we go. One final thing I meant to say, I didn't show it during the last video, but during the reset phase I did move the battalion commander here. Moving the commanders around is part of what you can do during the tidy up phase after the activation portion of the game. Anyway, let's go. Let's roll. I think I'll start with the green dice. That's the easier or the less risky dice, because I want to try and get up on top of that cliff. We do have 7 strength points, but we're going up against the command bunker, which is currently on its reduced side. However, we're shaken, and if we spend too much time on that beach, we could well risk being routed, which isn't good. So I'll start with green, see how green goes, then I might move to red, try and get up onto that cliff top. So make sure we are on screen, and let's go. And we've drawn an event card. Time is on 1 space, so we're now on the final space of the 6th of June. And we're no further up the beach. Let's go for red, as I said before. It's riskier. We do have a chance of hits, which we've taken here, a variable hit, which on the beach is worth 2. But we do have the 2 advance points required to get up on top of the cliff and fight that command bunker. First things first though, let's remove the 2 hit points off that easy company unit. So that hit point drops down to 5. And then I will spend the 2 advance points to move up onto the beach. Sorry, the cliff top, from the beach onto the cliff top. The rally point coming with them straight away is the first thing we do. Before we jump into the combat with the command bunker, we do need to reveal this, which means the Germans are pinned. They will not move now unless they are forced to retreat. There are certain events that will require the Germans to move, but that unit won't during this this activation. Let's go into the combat. So the Germans have 1 die, the 2 there. Divide the strength by 2 and round up, so we have just the 1 die. As the Americans, we have 5 strength points, which divided by 2 and rounded up is 3 dice. So we start with 3 dice versus 1 dice. We do the adjustments for the various terrain effects, which include defenders in prep terrain, an extra dice for the Germans, the attack across the cliffside, extra dice for the Germans, and the unit that's attacking is shaken. We remove the die. So 3 defending dice against 2 for the Rangers. Oh, gosh, goodness me. That's not good odds, is it? Let's use the attached commander, actually. We'll flip that over to gain an extra die. So we're now even keel. Let's go. Alrighty, we have a 6 and a 4 for the Rangers, 5 for the Germans, and then a bunch of misses. The Germans only inflict half a hit, so there's no damage to the Rangers. The Rangers inflict 1 hit and then win the combat through a morale loss. But we have actually eliminated that command bunker, meaning we don't need to worry about the morale losses, and we can now claim that space for our own and consolidate to try and recover some of those hit points, which is what I'll do. I won't move any further, no further activation for the unit. I will just simply consolidate and recover 2 hit points, meaning that unit's back up to 7. Easy company then, the other one on the beach. We need 3 to get up the top of that cliff. We've only got 3 strength points. Wow, that guy has taken a bit of a beating. Let's roll yellow. We've got 1 hit and an activation point. Flip that down to 2 strength points. Wow, that's not good at all. We need to get up the top of that cliff. Okay, and we're shaken, so that's a bit of a risk. Let's roll red. No, I don't want to roll red. Either way, we have to roll something. We cannot voluntarily stop on the beach, if you remember. So we will save that advance point. Well, there is the possibility of grappling. I could try for a grapple, and then if I get a firm hold on a grapple, I would only need 1, which would make the green dice viable. Let's try that. Let's spend the advance point to roll 2 dice. Rolled a 7. I think the 7 does count as a firm hold. Yes, for the when the Rangers do the grappling attempt, it is a firm hold on a 7+. So I think I've run out of those counters actually, so I'll just move on along. I don't need that anymore. So we've now got a firm hold, meaning my second die will be the green one in the hope we get an advance point. And we don't. We have a time card or an event card. We do move now 1 more time point, so that is now the next day. Hour 1 of the 7th of June. On the 7th of June, we will now moving to the 7th of June means we will have 5 victory points per gun found rather than 10, and we will run the risk of low ammo as well. Okay. Frustrating. However, we do need to press on, so let's roll red. It's less risky than black. And we do get the one activation point needed. Let's get that guy up the top of the cliff there. We do need to pull a chip though for the Rangers. Okay, and we have pulled reinforcements B and C. Now, this is a frustrating event, Chit, because it's pretty cool. You can recover your strength points, and player choice there means you can recover your strength points on any of the units or any of the companies. Unfortunately, it's only applicable if you have the rudder HQ, which you place when you consolidate with your battalion commander. But unfortunately, we haven't actually done that with the appropriate unit yet. So rudder's HQ is not on the board, meaning this is not applicable, and that's quite frustrating. But we can now consolidate and recover some hit points, meaning that guy goes back up to 4 health points, which is slightly more reassuring than just the 2 we're currently on. Okay. Next activation. We've activated this unit here and got up onto the cliff. This unit's up onto the cliff. Let's try and do something with this and get towards those guns. We do need to get enough activation points to get to and then into the prepared terrain that this gun is on. Prepared terrain is when a terrain feature of a certain type becomes an obstacle because there is a German unit there. Right, let's see how we go with that. And I think what I'll do is I'll roll yellow, and we've rolled a card. Okay, and that is a German counterattack. Now, the bunker's destroyed, so this is not as bad as it was. We only move 1 space rather than 2. I just realised actually we killed that bunker in close combat. So I've just popped it off to the side. However, because we captured it in close combat, we do actually need to place it on the POW track. And the POW track is points at the end of the game. And I find it's easy to forget that, but we place it on the reduced side. So it's 1 victory point per counter we place on the reduced side when it comes to POWs. You don't get those for fighting a battle or winning a ranged combat or through artillery or anything like that. It's just through the close combat. So that's a benefit. We've got our first points on the board. Okay, we still need to move this unit. And I'm going to roll red. Okay, we've got 2 activation points and the German counter. Now that's not enough to get all the way over to and then enter that terrain. So I'm going to save both of those. I hope the German activation counter is not too bad, and then try to get in there with the green. Let's see what happens. Okay, we have drawn Assault on Fox Company. So Fox Company is all the way over here, so we stop that activation temporarily and move over here. Now, with the Germans, most of their attacks are done in this fashion, where you draw an event chit and you deliver a number of hits based on the location of the Germans relative to the company that's targeted. Now, for the assault, the German grenadier units in the section in which the relevant company, in this case Fox Company, will attack. They will try to get into a space where the Rangers are, and then they'll do a close combat. Okay, so it's the grenadier units and the machine gun units. Okay, and then once it's done, we move the German counterattack forward as well. So the grenadier units, we've got 1 grenadier unit, 2, 3 grenadier units plus 1 machine gun. Now, all of the grenadier units do this, but only the ones that can reach the ranges will attack. So this move these 2 first because they will not attack. The grenadier here will move in and begin a close combat. So that's going to be 2 dice each. They both have a strength point of 3. So that's 2 dice each to begin. Adjusting for the dice, just find the correct play rate. Now the Germans are attacking this time. They have no support because that unit is not the same, or it's not equal to or higher than the value of the unit being attacked. It's not night time. There's no heroic action. They're not shaken, so I think 2 is all the Germans get. For us as defenders, we are not pinned. We're not in... Oh, we are in prepared terrain, actually. Although I don't think it counts for the Americans. I think it's only for the Germans it becomes prepared terrain, these terrain features. So I think we're looking at a straight 2 each. 5, 6 and 4s are the ones we're after. Okay, that's a draw. Both survive. There's an equal morale loss, therefore the attacker must retreat. We're going to retreat back. Okay, that wasn't too bad. The machine gun unit will now attack, and the machine gun unit is this one here, and it will only move if the space in front blocks line of sight. Well, it doesn't, so I don't think that's going to move because it will not get a particularly good roll. The machine guns are relatively weak in combat compared to their ranged ability. So I think we're done for that assault. That wasn't too bad, not too bad at all. And we return all the way over to Easy Company and carry on that activation. We still have 2 unspent points from that die. So I'm going to roll green and hope that I get another advance point. And I do. Excellent. So I've got 3 advance points now. And I do take a hit though. But that's okay because we've got 7. So I'm going to spend all 3 of those advance points to move firstly into that space and then over the prepared terrain into the next space, where we're going to have a close combat with a German regiment unit just here. Now we have the battalion commander with us. There are 2 guns in that space, but we'll look at those if we win the combat. German is on its full strength side, so we need to roll 2 dice for the German strength 3 and 4 dice for the Ranger strength of 7 as the baseline. The Germans are in prepared terrain, but I don't think there are any other modifiers. So the Germans will get 3 dice and the Americans will roll 4. Now I could flip that company commander over, or the battalion commander over, but I do want Rudder's HQ if I can. But I really want those guns as well. That's tricky. Let's just see what happens. Oops. Okay, cool. What have we got here? We have got, for the Americans, we have half a hit plus 2 proper hits. That's 2.5 and a miss. And then the Germans have scored 3 half hits, meaning the Americans take 1 wound, but the Germans do take 2. So we first flip and then remove the German regiment counter, putting it this time on its full strength side because it was in its full strength when we attacked it, and we have taken quite a large haul there of POWs. And POWs on their full strength side are worth 3 victory points each at the end. That's not bad because we've also managed to capture ourselves 2 points of interest. Now, what are these points of interest? Well, they could be all sorts of things. And in this case, we have got ourselves a set of dummy guns and a surprise attack. I get the sense that that was not what we were hoping to achieve there. So dropping down 2 hit points from 6 down to 4, and that was slightly demoralising. Okay, so no victory points for those, they just get placed off to one side out of the game. We need to continue our search for the guns. Yes, I've decided to establish Rudders HQ as the consolidation action, meaning I place this counter here, there, and that adds the benefit of the extra abilities and so on that some of the events give you, which are and Rudders HQ is a requirement for some of those abilities. I do believe the Rudder battalion commander does stay on the board and we can still use the counter in addition to that HQ counter. But anyway, the activation is now over for that unit, and Easy Company has finished its activation, meaning we now move into Dog Company. Let's do Dog Company. As I mentioned, I really want to get some guns. But that will mean splitting one or other of these units here to cover the 2 extra columns where we lost units. Now that's going to be tricky because we've got to get rid of these units first in order to be able to move across into an empty space. So this unit will have to be all the way up here before we can do it, and this unit will have to be here at least. But we do have to get these guns. So let's use this one first. 8 health points and the company commander. And I think what we'll do is we'll do the same as last time. Let's roll red. We've got 1 activation point and a ranger chip this time. I'm going to look at that. Reinforcements for Easy Company. And that's one where we would need the Rudders HQ for. So we put up our strength points, just use the player aid to find out exactly how many. So you can increase the strength of any unit in indicated company up to a total of 3 strength points, distributed as we see fit. Now I think Easy Company would probably benefit from pushing that one up to 2. 2 strength points on that one, and then there was another one quite weak, wasn't there? I think it was this one here. Yep, that one. So one has gone back up to 5 and the other one has gone up to 6. So that will, oops, wrong counter. That was good timing there for the for Easy Company. Okay, back to this unit. Let's roll yellow. Okay, a variable hit and 2 activation points. Well, we've got the activation points we need, but we have got 2 hits. Sorry, a hit, and that's going to be a variable hit based on the nearest or the most dangerous German unit within 2 spaces. They're all regiment, so we're just going to take 1 hit. No, that's a machine gun. I think it's still one hit though, because it's only one space between. What you would do is you would look at the distance and then halve it for the regiment, or take the full distance for the machine guns. So here they're all at 1, so that drops down to 7. And then we will spend all 3 of those activation points to move up into the space there with the regiment. Again, we are fighting the unit before we can reveal the guns, and this time we're on the reduced side. So there's just 1 die for the Germans as the baseline, and 4 for the Americans. Germans are in prepared terrain again. But I think that's it in terms of other effects of the terrain and so on. So it's 4 versus 2 in terms of the dice. I'm going to flip that company commander as well, just to make completely sure we get rid of that German unit. So that's an extra dice thanks to the company commander. Wow, okay. That was pretty awful for the Americans, actually. So there's 4 misses, 1 morale loss inflicted by the Americans on the Germans, but the Germans have inflicted 1.5 hits. So we drop down to 6 health points for that unit, which is a little bit frustrating given the amount of dice we rolled. But then we did actually win the combat with the reduced, due to the morale. We won the combat because we inflicted more morale loss on them than they inflicted on the Americans, which is slightly confusing because I just automatically think the most hits win, but in this it's the most 4s win, which means they do retreat. We take the space, including the guns, despite taking more hits, and then we reveal those guns. So let's have a look what we got this time. And we have got, okay, false reports. That is useless. We don't get anything for that. But we do have an officer. We've captured an officer. This is fantastic. This is victory points. It goes under the Fortunes of War category of victory points, which means that we generate a certain number of points per token taken based on the day we take it, just like the guns. And in this case, 7th of June, that officer is worth 3 victory points. Okay, that's really quite good because we're now up to 8 points, which is some way off the 100 or so you need to put in a really stellar performance in the game. Nevertheless, I think we are making progress, and I will consolidate rather than roll any more dice, meaning the activation, the rally point counter will go to its activated side, and I'll bring it up to where the unit was. With enough activation points, we can actually now split across to try and come behind this unit to take the guns there as well. But let's do this activation first and see what happens with that. And I will roll, I'll just roll yellow, I think, see what happens. That's a variable hit. We will take 1 hit because we're only within 2 of that unit and that unit. Both of them would be 1 hit, so we lose that strength point, but then we can go forward 2 spaces thanks to the 2 activation points. Fantastic. Okay, let's roll, and I really do want to get across here to try and get those guns. Let's roll red. And we're shaken. That's not so good. We need a shaken counter. Let's roll green. We have 1 activation point and a ranger counter. That's not enough to do the redeploy action to split forces between the 2 columns. We could move forward 1 space, but I think it would be better to use a special action to remove that shaken counter. That is known as the regroup special action. We just remove the counter, and then I think I will consolidate rather than risking the black die. So that flips over, goes to the counter space, and we then move to Fox Company. There's a gun, 2 guns in that space there. That's handy. Strength points are not bad, but I think I'd like to move that first. Let's do that. Let's try and get rid of those grenadiers. That's oh no, bad idea. That has got 3 strength points. That would be far too close to combat. Let's get rid of the machine gun. This one. We just need 1 activation point to get into that space, so let's roll green. We've taken a hit, but we do have the activation, so let's flip you over to 6. And then the activation point will get us into that space. It's 1 die for the German because they only have a close combat strength of 1. The higher number is for the machine gun ranged attack. So it's 1 die versus 3 dice. There are no modifiers of any kind, so it's a straight up roll. Oh wow. Wow, that's not good. Right, okay, so we have a hit for the Germans. It's taken us down to 5. We have half a hit, which don't do anything, and then the 2 morale losses. Oh, actually, that's a lot better than I thought. We're not. At first, I thought we would retreat, but no, they actually do retreat. And they retreat the difference between the two numbers in terms of morale points. So we rolled 2 4s, meaning they would roll 2 spaces unless they had also rolled a 4, in which case you would reduce by the difference. So until that goes back, that's okay. The question now becomes, do I try and chase them? No, I don't think I will. We're running a bit low on health points, and I can't consolidate and regain strength points because my rally point is behind the unit. Also, there's an obstacle there. That's barbed wire, meaning I would need more activation points. So we'll definitely stop there, consolidate, and move on to the next unit, which will be this one. And again, I will roll green to start with. We have 1 space plus a ranger token. And we have the event known as a recon patrol. And recon patrols allow you to reveal 1 incoming fire marker and apply the effects. Well, that is going to be the only one on the board. Let's do this one. 2 hits. Oh, cool. We've killed the German machine gunner. Nice. We don't get any prisoners of war for that though, but at least we have 1 less counter to worry about when we do finally get into this column. That's important because we cannot have any Germans on the column behind the road if we try and do a roadblock. That won't happen until later though, but let's see how we go now with the rest of this unit's activation. Might be quite nice to get a bit further up the board. Let's roll yellow. We stopped. Never mind. Okay, I can live with that this time. Attacking the grenadiers there with, oh no, gosh, that's 3 health points. I did that before, didn't I? Let's just consolidate, straight up consolidation with 5 strength points. There we go. 5 strength points. Now the reason I've done that is because it's extra strength points to count towards any supporting fire on this unit here. Basically what you do is you need to have a close combat total higher than the unit you're attacking, which we clearly do now. And so with luck we will get 2 activation points into that space and try to take out that regiment and see what's in those gun counters. I want to roll yellow. Okay, 1 point, 1 activation point, and German counter. What's it called? Let's see. Okay, Fox Company are affected by a German defensive network. Okay, the German defensive network. We remove. Oh, okay, that just says remove an incoming fire marker. There aren't any, so that's no effect. Awesome. We move on. Let's roll green. Get into that space, but it's a card. And we have a counterattack. Oh dear. Okay, so... Oh, actually, that's not as bad as I thought, because we have taken the command bunker. So we only move 2 spaces, not 3. Meaning the second German counterattack is still 1 space away from activating. We got away with the skin of our teeth just there. I still really do want to get into that prepared terrain. Now I'm in cover. If I had had a commander, I could have used the commander to reduce that advancement point requirement. But here we're going to have to roll red, I think. Let's roll red. And we draw a card and stop. Our luck didn't hold. And now we do have that German counterattack. Okay, so that is a counterattack number 2 for the Germans. And we will take 3 grenadiers and a machine gun unit, and we will place them in front of Easy Company where we can. Okay. So we have a machine gun, 3 grenadiers, and then we place on the full strength side at random in front of the Rangers. That means Easy Company has now got that much more of a challenge on its hands. And we do place them 2 spaces in front where we can. Okay. Okay, that was the final unit of this activation. Very eventful once again. Let's stop there and reconvene at a later date with activation number 5, or activation round number 5. Thanks very much for watching. Hope to see you for the next one.